Welcome back. Today we're climbing to spiritual heights and then descending into some intense spiritual battles as we dive into Matthew chapter 17 and Mark chapter 9. These chapters, much like the previous ones we've delved into, they're covering several parallel events. Each of the Gospels offers its own unique emphasis. We're going to explore the highlights of both and conclude with a comparison of what these crucial accounts teach us about Jesus' identity and the nature of faith. So, let's get started. Now, both Matthew 17 and Mark 9 begin with one of the most awe-inspiring events in the Gospels, the Transfiguration. Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up to the mountain, and while they're there, Jesus is transfigured before them. His face shines like the sun, and his clothes become white as light. Suddenly, Moses and Elijah appear talking with Jesus. The disciples, they're completely overwhelmed and they're terrified. Peter, in his typical impulsive passion, he suggests building 3 shelters, one for Jesus, one for Moses, one for Elijah. And then a bright cloud overshadows them, and the voice from the cloud declares, "This is my Son, my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." This divine affirmation is critical. Just as at Jesus' baptism, God the Father unmistakably identifies Jesus as his Son, elevating him above even the greatest prophets like Moses and Elijah. He's the ultimate authority. This event is a powerful confirmation of Jesus' divine identity, especially after Peter's confession in the previous chapters and the difficult teaching about the coming suffering. It's a glimpse of his glory as Messiah, the Son of God. Now, immediately after descending from these mountaintop experiences, Jesus and the 3 disciples are met with a stark contrast, a scene of desperation and spiritual warfare. A father had brought his son, who had been suffering terribly from a demon that caused seizures, throwing him into the fire and into the water. And the father explained that he brought his son to the other disciples, but they just couldn't cast him out. So Jesus, with his authority, rebukes the demon, and it comes out of him, and the boy is healed instantly. This miraculous deliverance highlights Jesus' absolute power over evil. Now, the disciples naturally were puzzled and perhaps a little embarrassed, and they asked Jesus privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" Jesus answered them in both accounts and told them that their failure was due to their lack of faith. In Matthew 7, he says, "It's because of your little faith. If you have faith like a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." Mark adds a crucial line, "This kind cannot come out by anything other than prayer and fasting." Now, I believe this kind is referring to a type of demon that was afflicting the boy. It seems to imply that the disciples may have been applying a method-based approach to healing based on their past experiences, but had not yet learned to identify what they were actually dealing with. Because of that, they were trying to heal based upon their training, ignoring the faith component. This also teaches us that the true power isn't just a formula. It's dependent upon faith and intimacy with God through prayer and fasting. So following these events, both chapters record Jesus once again foretelling of his suffering, his death, and his resurrection. He reiterates that he's the Son of Man and will be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised again on the 3rd day. The disciples are distressed by this, but they still don't fully understand. Matthew notes that they're greatly distressed. Mark adds that they did not understand the statement and were afraid to ask him. This foreshadowing is critical as it prepares them and us for the central event of the gospel message. So while Matthew 17 and Mark 9 cover largely the same ground, the Transfiguration and the healing of the demon-possessed boy, and the second prophecy of the Passion, then what are the subtle differences? Matthew's emphasis is on the law and prophecies. In Matthew's Transfiguration account, Peter, James, and John fell on their faces and were much afraid. This is a unique detail to Matthew. emphasizing their reverence and fear of the presence of divine glory, and common Old Testament response to God's presence. Matthew includes the famous mustard seed faith teaching in context of the disciples. Failure to cast out the demon is a direct link to the lack of faith and their inability to perform miracles. Matthew 17 uniquely includes the story of Jesus and Peter paying the temple tax, with Jesus miraculously providing the coin from the fish's mouth. This demonstrates yet another one of Jesus' authority over even the temple and the earthly institution, yet his willingness to submit to societal norms to avoid offense. Mark, in his account of the demon-possessed boy, specifically adds, "This kind cannot come out by anything but prayer and fasting." This provides the practical, challenging insight for disciples about the depth of spiritual warfare and the necessity for the dependence on God. Mark 9 includes a significant amount of additional teaching on humility, scandal, and the nature of discipleship. That is, who is the greatest, responding to offenses, the cutting off of offending body parts. Each of those could be a sermon in itself. This extends beyond the core events shared by Matthew, driving home the practical applications for the life of Christ. Both Matthew 17 and Mark 9 beautifully illustrate the dual nature of Jesus, the glorious Son of God and the suffering servant. They challenge us to a deeper faith, reminding us that true spiritual power comes not from our own ability, but from humble dependence on God through prayer and a willingness to embrace the path of the cross. Thank you for joining me today on this profound journey. If this comparison helps you, please like and subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of these chapters resonate with you? We look forward to seeing you here again next time on Set Sail with Grace Harbor.